My name is Isabella, and at 28 years old, my parents sued me for emotional damages caused by my existence. They demanded $65,000 in damages for therapy for the whole family and the resources they wasted on me. I didn't cry. I surprised them with this. 2 months later, they regretted everything. If you have ever felt betrayed by the people who should have been your biggest supporters, let me know where you are watching from. It was just another day. Nothing special. I was at home doing dishes, hot water running, plates clinking, my hands smelling faintly of lemon soap. Nothing dramatic, nothing unusual. Then came the knock. Not urgent, not panicked, just firm. Firm enough to make me stop what I was doing. I wiped my wet hands on the edge of my apron, muttering under my breath, and walked toward the door. Half annoyed, half curious. I opened it, and there he was, a man in a crisp blue suit. You know the type. Neutral expression, slim leather folder under his arm, not even pretending to be friendly. "Are you Miss Isabella Khan?" he asked. "Yes, I am," I said, still thinking it was something routine. He clicked open the folder, pulled out a single sheet, and handed me a pen. "Please sign here. It's a document in your name." I didn't even hesitate. That's the worst part. Years of signing boring HR forms and tax things had trained me too well. I signed where he pointed, no questions asked. He slid a thick envelope into my hands. My name was printed across the front in bold block letters, stark heavy. "Thank you. Have a good day," he said. And just like that, he turned and walked down the hall. I stood there a second longer, holding the envelope. Work-related, probably. Maybe a tax letter my boss had forgotten to forward. Maybe some HR thing about benefits. Something dull, something safe. I closed the door, untied my apron, tossed it onto the chair, like I always did when I was done cooking or cleaning. Then I sat down on the couch. I stared at the envelope, turned it over, shook it lightly like maybe it would rattle and give me a clue. Nothing. Finally, I tore it open. Invoices. I expected maybe some boring form. It wasn't. It was a court summon and a complaint. Yeah, just imagine that. Sitting in your own living room, tearing open what you think is junk mail and seeing your name on legal papers. I blinked hard. Once, twice, 3 times. My brain kept insisting it had to be a mistake. If I stared long enough, maybe the letters would rearrange into someone else's name. But no, it was me. And then came the kicker, the plaintiffs' names. Farid Khan, Shazia Khan, my parents. I swear my stomach dropped like I'd stepped off a cliff. I grabbed my phone, hit Jessie's number without thinking. She's not just my best friend. She's also a lawyer, which is a blessing. I didn't know I'd need this badly. She picked up on the second ring, cheerful as always. "What's up? Did you finally try that place with the ridiculous neon dumplings?" My parents sued me. "Silence, then. And you'll laugh at this." She laughed. "Your parents are suing you for emotional damages caused by your existence." "Yes, they did. Ha ha. Very funny. Okay, come on. Why did you actually call?" "I'm serious." The humor drained out of her voice. "No, I know. I'm sorry. Just say that again. My parents sued me." "For what?" I flipped to the first page. My hands shook so badly the paper rattled. The words sat there bold and cruel. "Lifelong failure to meet family expectations." I read aloud. "An existence brought humiliation." There was a hiss of air through Jessie's teeth. Okay. Wow. Okay. I pressed my fingers into the edge of the page. It felt heavy, like it wasn't paper anymore. "It's like they found a legal way to say the quiet part," I whispered. "What does that even mean?" "Existence brought humiliation." "That you existed wrong. I always did?" I tried to laugh. It cracked on the way out. Jessie's tone shifted. Steady now. Professional, but still warm. "Read me the rest." I scanned further. Humiliation. Damaged public reputation. $15,000 for therapy for the whole family. $30,000 for the resources they wasted on me. And my throat tightened. A claim that I'm obligated to financially support them as the only earning child. Yeah, they actually wrote that down. "Where are you right now?" Jessie asked. "In the living room." "No, I mean, are you alone?" "Yes." "Okay, listen. I'll come over in an hour or two once I wrap things up here. Don't panic. We'll go through it together. I'll tell you what's real and what's nonsense. I set the papers down on the coffee table, just stared at them. All the memories I'd tried to bury came rushing back. Every ugly scream, every slammed door, every night I cried myself to sleep, now printed, stamped, and made official. It was like they had dragged every nightmare into daylight. You know what this is? Jessie said. What? It's money. It's more than money, I whispered. They love to torture me. The spiral started, same as always. Disbelief into panic, panic into anger. My body knew this tunnel. Muscle memory. Childhood rehearsed. I stood, opened the cabinet, closed it again, walked to the door, walked back. My skin buzzed with nothing. I need answers, I said finally. I can't let them do this to me. Will they ever leave me alone? What are you thinking? Jessie asked, her voice already new. I'm going over there right now. Right now. I'll meet you there. You don't have to. I'm meeting you there, she insisted. No, you've got work. I'll do it myself. Don't go, Isabella. It might make things worse. But I hung up. I shoved the papers back into the envelope, grabbed my keys, not bothering to change, not even bothering to breathe. Just me, my rage, and the weight of my parents' lawsuit under my arm. You guys must be wondering what wrong I must have done to make my parents go this far. I mean, suing your own daughter, that's not something people just do. So maybe you're thinking, wow, she must have been a terrible kid. She must have done something so big, so awful, that her parents ended up traumatized, needing therapy, humiliated in public. Well, yes, I did make a huge mistake. A mistake that wasn't even in my control. I was born a girl, and that according to them was my first and biggest crime. My grandparents were the first ones to come here, immigrants from Pakistan chasing that classic dream of a better life in the U.S. They settled permanently, worked hard, built their lives here. But you know what? They didn't leave behind their mindset. The family tradition. In that tradition, sons were blessings, daughters just burdens. So when my parents got pregnant, they wanted a boy. Everyone expected a boy, and then they got me. From the very start, I was treated like a mistake stamped into their lives. My existence itself was an inconvenience. My brother came later, and with him, all the golden treatment they had been saving up. Toys, outings, freedom, pocket money, he got it all. Me, I got nothing. Not even small allowances. If he broke something, guess who got blamed? If he skipped chores, guess who got punished? If he cried, guess who got yelled at for not taking care of him? It was always me. He was the blessing. I was the burden. As a little girl, I learned quickly what my role was: cleaning, cooking, serving. My parents never even tried to sugarcoat it. That's what girls are for, they'd say, as if it was a universal law written in stone. Going out, not allowed. My brother could roam free, play with friends, explore. I was locked in, a prisoner in my own house. And when I wasn't obedient enough, when I dared to complain or fail at something, I got beaten. Sometimes with words, sometimes with hands, sometimes with belts. I still have scars. And worse, I still have memories. By my early teens, they decided my role wasn't just housework anymore. They wanted money. So, while other kids were doing after-school activities, I was working cashier shifts at grocery stores, stocking shelves, folding clothes, at retail outlets, anything to bring cash home. It didn't stop. Through high school, through college, work, all of it funneled straight into their pockets. And for years, I didn't question it. Because when you grow up being told you owe your existence, guilt becomes second nature. Fear becomes a reflex. And habit becomes a leash you don't even notice anymore. So even after I moved out, even when I had my own apartment, even when I finally landed a real job with a real salary, I still kept sending money back. Like my paycheck wasn't mine, like my life wasn't mine. I climbed the retail ladder the hard way. First a supervisor, then an assistant manager, and eventually a store manager at a big box chain. 60, 70 hours a week, sometimes 50 to 70,000 a year, enough to live independently, enough to feel like maybe finally I had carved out something that was mine. But to them, It was never mine. It was theirs. Every time my salary increased, so did their demands. And out of habit, out of fear, I kept giving until one day I didn't. I finally said no. No more money, no more control, no more pretending I was still their servant. And that's when everything snapped. That's when the threats started. The guilt trips got darker. The calls turned into screaming. And then came the lawsuit. Yeah, imagine that. You spend your whole life being drained, squeezed, beaten down. And when you finally stand up, the very people who raised you drag you into court. Because in their eyes, I wasn't a daughter. I was an investment. And they wanted returns. I thought I had finally freed myself. I'd moved out. I wasn't picking up their calls anymore. I'd stopped sending them money. For the first time, I thought, this is it. I can finally live my life the way I want. But then they came back. Not with a call, not with a guilt trip, not with one of those endless rants about duty. This time they came dressed up in the form of a lawsuit, and that was my breaking point. I pressed the doorbell once, twice, over and over. Finally, the door cracked open. My brother stood there, leaning against the frame like he owned the place, arms crossed, smirk ready. "Why the hell are you always so loud?" he sneered. "You're so annoying." "Move," I said flatly. He raised an eyebrow. Wow. No hello, no manners. "You really are ungrateful, aren't you? Move!" He dragged it out, pretending to think about it. "And here I thought you'd come crawling back with an apology, begging them to forgive you. Move." My voice snapped sharper. He sighed, exaggerated like he was already bored. "Fine, don't start crying when they tell you the truth." I pushed past him. His shoulder brushed mine. He muttered, just loud enough. Pathetic. Yeah, that's him. Their perfect heir, their carbon copy. Sometimes I wonder how his wife even tolerates him. Probably the same way I did all those years, by shutting up. The living room looked exactly the same. My mom perched on the couch like a queen, waiting for her servant. My dad leaned back in his chair, arms folded, jaw tight. My mother smirked. Well, look who finally showed up. The disgrace herself. "You sued me," I said. My voice came out flat, but my hands shook at my sides. My father shook his head. "You never learn, do you? Always so dramatic, always needing attention." "You dragged me into court," I snapped. "Do you even realize how insane that is?" "Insane?" My mother laughed, high-pitched and cold. "Insane is raising an ungrateful daughter who thinks she can cut ties with her family." "You thought you could just walk away." "Oh no, Isabella. This lawsuit is just the beginning." I froze. "Excuse me." "You heard me," she spat. "Next time you'll regret not giving us money anymore. We'll make sure of it." I clenched my fists. "So that's it. It's not even about love, just money." "Of course it's about money," my father barked. "Do you think life is free? Do you think food on the table grows by itself? Everything you have is because of us." "What I have," I said, "I earned by working since I was 13. While he, I pointed at my brother who was lounging against the doorway, still smirking, was out playing video games and wasting money on sneakers. My brother chuckled. "Still jealous, huh? Some things never change." "Jealous," I shot back. "Of what?" "Of being their puppet. Of never lifting a finger while I bled myself dry to keep this house running." He shrugged. "Better than being the mistake." My chest tightened. "What did you just call me?" He grinned wider. "The mistake. Come on, Isabella. We've all heard it. You weren't supposed to be born. At least not as a girl. You've been ruining things since day one." My mom didn't even flinch. She just tilted her head, lips curling. "He's not wrong." Something in me cracked. "You think dragging me into court is going to fix your disappointment?" "It's not about disappointment," my father growled. "It's about what you owe us. You think you can just walk away after everything we gave you? You think you can take your money, your job, and pretend you're better than us? We made you. You broke me." I snapped. Silence fell for half a beat. Then my mom hissed. "Ungrateful. Always ungrateful." I stepped closer. "Ungrateful. I cleaned this house until my hands blistered. I worked jobs when I was barely a teenager so you could pocket the money. I paid off debts I never made. And now you want $30,000 for raising me?" My father's voice dropped low. "Watch your tone." "Or what?" "You'll hit me again?" His chair scraped back. He stood, face red. "Get out. Not until you explain why." Get out! He shoved me. My shoulder slammed into the doorframe. I stumbled, but I stayed upright. You really think this makes you strong? Behind me, my brother chuckled. Guess she still doesn't get it. I turned. He was smiling, actually smiling. My father shoved me again. Out of my house. I stumbled onto the porch. My mother followed just long enough to spit near my feet. Ungrateful witch. You've cursed us since the day you were born. She slammed the door. I stood there shaking, the envelope pressed against my chest like a shield. Headlights cut across the driveway. Jessie's car. She jumped out, heels clicking fast. Isabella, what happened? I shook my head, still stunned. Tell me, she urged. My throat tightened. They threw me out. Of course they did. She guided me to the car. Come on, let's go. I slid into the passenger seat. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. Why would they even do this now? Jessie asked once the door shut. Because it's all they've ever done, I said bitterly. Chort me, and now it's about money. Since I stopped sending them anything, they're suing to force me back. I yanked the papers out, shoved them at her. Look at this. $30,000 for child-rearing costs. $30,000. She scanned the pages, frowning. I don't have that kind of money, Jessie. And even if I did, why should I pay them for abusing me? You shouldn't, she said firmly. I pressed my palms to my face. And if this spreads at work, if corporate hears I'm being sued by my own parents, they'll see me as unstable, a liability. My whole future could be destroyed. The words spilled out like poison. All I've worked for. Gone. Just like that. Jessie rested a hand on the folder. Isabella, look at me. I did. You don't have to let them win. Not this time. The fear saddened me like stone. Then it cracked and rage poured out. No, I whispered. I won't let them do this. Not again. So what do you want to do? I want to fight. Not just defend myself. I want to hit back. Her eyes narrowed. Counter-sue. Yes. For every paycheck, every scar, every insult. How much? 50,000, I said without hesitation. For abuse, for financial exploitation, for emotional distress, for existing wrong in their eyes. Jessie nodded once. Okay, then that's exactly what we'll do. And that's how it started. School records, photos of bruises, witnesses, teachers, neighbors, old coworkers, emails, texts, every shred of cruelty, stacked like ammunition. Jessie filed a police report, too. It may not go far after all these years, she warned, but at least it'll be on record. 2 months passed as everything built toward the court date. Then, the night before the hearing, my phone buzzed. A message from my father. You will regret standing against your family. This case will destroy you before it destroys us. We'll drain every single penny out of you until you wish you had just kept giving us our share. I read it once, then again, and again. I wasn't sure if luck would stand with me this time or leave my side the way it always had before. Finally, the day came. We were in the courtroom. I sat at the defendant's table, Jessie beside me, flipping through her notes like she was rearranging weapons. Across from us, my parents, my brother, all three together, heads held high, smug like they were about to win a prize. Of course, their lawyer stood first. Slick suit, fake warmth. Your Honor, this is a story of sacrifice. Loving parents who gave everything to their daughter only to be abandoned in return. I clenched my jaw. She humiliated them, he went on. Shameful behavior that ruined their reputation. Meanwhile, she earns a stable salary and refuses to support her family. While her brother struggles, she prospers. Where is the fairness? My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. She didn't need Oscar-worthy. The judge leaned forward. Counsel, did the parents ever have any written agreement with the defendant that obligated her to give them money? The lawyer stuttered. Well, Your Honor, it was understood culturally. Answer the question. No, Your Honor, no formal agreement. Strike one. The lawyer tried to recover, shuffling his notes. Your Honor, the plaintiffs also seek compensation for the damages inflicted upon them. $15,000 for therapy expenses the family has endured because of her behavior, and $30,000 for the resources they wasted on her upbringing. Food, clothing, education, all of it. Do you have receipts, documentation of these therapy costs, and proof that her actions were the cause of them? The lawyer hesitated. Well, Your Honor, their testimony. Receipts, the judge repeated firmly. Invoices, records, anything at all. My parents shifted uncomfortably. My mother fiddled with the tissue in her hand. My father stared at the table. Silence. The judge leaned back in his chair. Counsel, if you bring financial claims into my courtroom, you will be expected to support them. Be more prudent in the future. For now, sit down. The lawyer swallowed, nodded stiffly, and lowered himself back into his seat. Then Jesse stood, calm, clear, razor sharp. Your Honor, this isn't a case of children neglecting parents. This is a case of abuse. My client wasn't treated as a daughter. She was treated as labor, as income. My father scoffed loud enough for everyone to hear. Jesse opened the first folder. We have school records showing her brother was granted activities, allowances, freedom, while Isabella was denied everything. We have photos of scars and bruises from repeated beatings. We have witnesses, teachers, co-workers, neighbors. And she paused, looking directly at my brother. We have financial documents. He shifted in his seat. She held up a stack of papers. When Isabella was a teenager, her brother opened credit cards in her name, racked up debt. The parents forced her to pay it, blamed her for being irresponsible with money. The judge looked at them sharply. Is this true? Silence. My brother cleared his throat. That was a long time ago. Is it true? The judge pressed. He dropped his eyes. Yes. Strike two. The rest went fast. Jesse laid out emails and texts, my mother's words glowing on the screen. You owe us everything. My father's voice on voicemail. We regret the day you were born. The air got heavier with every page. Finally, Jessie closed her folder. Your Honor, this lawsuit isn't about justice, it's about control. And when control failed, they turned to punishment. The judge sat back quiet, then he spoke. This case is dismissed immediately. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. The judge's voice cut through again. Furthermore, this court finds the plaintiff's actions to be an abuse of process and an attempted defamation. The plaintiffs will pay $50,000 in damages to the defendant. They will also cover all legal fees. And this court refers the evidence of financial fraud to the proper authorities. My brother's face drained white. My mother gasped. My father slammed his fist on the table. Game over. Outside, it wasn't over for them. You ungrateful, my mother hissed. Shameless. You've cursed us since the day you were born. I didn't stop walking. I didn't even look back because for the first time in my life, their voices didn't matter. For the first time in years, I feel calm. Not waiting for the next call. Not waiting for the next knock. Not waiting for them. Work didn't crumble the way I feared. If anything, it got better. My manager pulled me aside one day. You handled that with strength, Isabella. Not everyone could. It wasn't just him. Soon, I noticed it in others, too. They were respecting me. I could feel it in the way they looked at me. And for the first time, I respected myself, too. I'm thriving emotionally, professionally. For once, I don't feel like my life is just survival. Every month, a payment arrives. Court-ordered damages. Money flowing the other way for the first time. Not because I begged, not because I was guilted, because they were forced to pay for what they did. It isn't about the cash. It's about what it means. Proof. Meanwhile, they're crumbling. My parents had to sell their house. Judgment doesn't care about pride. Neighbors avoid them now. No more perfect family, just shame. And my brother, the fraud the judge exposed, didn't vanish. It went to prosecutors. Identity theft, credit card fraud. The investigation took a little while, but a few months later, the case was resolved. He was convicted, spared prison time, and sentenced to probation, community service, and restitution for the debt he'd left in my name. So, yes, I won. I fought back. I survived. But sometimes I still wonder, did I do the right thing? Or was I really a disgrace to my family? Was being born a girl my first sin? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.